aircraft from one rival EasyJet tried to hijack the launch, arriving in their distinctive orange uniforms as customers.
If you think the airline was crazy, listen to this.
Okay.
I believe that the internet is going to take off. More and more people will need to use the internet.
Come fly with me, let's fly away.
So you can get it if you really want to. Shine, shine like a star, shining so bright, like the star that you are. Oh, shine into the future, spreading your light wherever you are. Shine, shine your light. Shine, shine your light. Shine, shine your light. Shine, shine your light. Just over the best. Imagine when the warrior, call it a destroyer. You man, simply the best. Nobody like can touch that. Name first, kiss it, say, nobody like can catch me. Moving like lightning with no energy. Shine, shine your light. Just over the best. Shine, shine your light. Just over the best. In my clothes like a butterfly, the hurdling man. Yes, me a jackboat, Colin Jackson. The crowd is roaring, Ian Rice scoring. Walking on the field, them are the champions they win. What they say that never make it, I found strength from within. Cause it is there if you seek it. So you can get it if you really want to. Shine, shine like a star, shining so bright, like the star that you are. Oh, shine into the future, spreading your light wherever you are. Come on and shine, shine like a star, shining so bright, like the star that you are. Oh, shine into the future, spreading your light wherever you are. Shine.
Right, thank you everyone for your attention. It's a 4-minute video available on easyhistory.info. The next slide, Tracy, please. So I don't know how many of you have heard of the Giving Pledge, but this is a club where you join and you pledge to give half your fortune to a good cause. So when I joined in 2017, I designated my UK foundation, the Stelios Philanthropic Foundation, registered in the UK, to be the perpetual vehicle for my legacy. Next slide, please. We are diversified in causes, but we're focused in terms of geography. So these are the 6 countries where me and my family have lived and worked, and we tend to give most of the money in this geographical area. Next slide. These are our 7 trustees coming from these different countries. Next slide. We have properties in each of the principal places where we give back. Here in Monaco, it's the conference hall here at the bottom left, where the audience is now, and we have equivalent buildings in London, in Athens, and in Cyprus. The next slide. These are, for example, the good use we put to the conference hall in Monaco. I mean, Monaco is a place where you can fundraise. There are many generous philanthropists who live here, and every year we do the flagship program with the Sovereign Prince, Prince Albert, for the environment, the WWF, and this is a picture from the latest check we wrote, and of course a number of other good causes locally. Next. This is some of the events that have taken place in our Thurlow Square offices in London. Anybody from the Red Cross and the King's Trust to, of course, the London School of Economics. Next. Other causes in the UK are to do with entrepreneurship. I'm very passionate about supporting entrepreneurs. Also, we have 2 programs in the UK, a long-standing one with the disabled entrepreneurs, and a more recent one with young entrepreneurs. And both are designed to encourage people to start their own business and create wealth for themselves and others and create new jobs. Next. These are some of the events that have taken place in our conference hall in Athens, in Greece. Again, the LSE has used the space and we're very proud of it. Next slide. One of the programs we do in Cyprus and Greece is called Foot on the Heart, which is the opposite, if you like, of scholarships. In scholarships, you give money to some of the brightest to go and become even better and improve themselves, and then go in the real world and create wealth for themselves and others. This is handing food to people who come and ask for it. And my theory is that if you come and ask for it, you probably need it and therefore you deserve it. Next slide. In Cyprus, other than the usual donations to other charities and our Young Entrepreneurs program, we have a long-standing program of bringing the two communities together. Cyprus is a divided island. The Greek Cypriot community in the north and the Greek Cypriot community in the south and the Turkish Cypriot community in the north. And for the last 15 years, we've been giving them grants, subsidies to work together because we believe entrepreneurs are open-minded and they're willing to cross the divide. And if people get to know each other, there is less likely to be war. Next slide. Back to the LSE. I know that most of you have something to do with the LSE. That's why we're here. We've calculated that the total donation from me and my foundation to the London School of Economics so far is £3.7 million over the last 20 years. So about 40 years ago, I entered the school as a young student. 40 years ago, 20 years ago, I started giving back to the LSE, and the cumulative donation is 3.7 million. But enough about me. I think the next slide is more important. We'd like to encourage as many of the Stelios scholars who have benefited from this program to start their own giving back to society. I know many of you have done it already. Two of them, as you can see, have already pledged on the giving, the justgiving.com website, where we have a live fundraising page. Please, any amount is welcome. Come and make your own donation. My foundation will double it and then round it up to the next entire scholarship. So essentially with these donations, we've already provided for 2 and a bit scholarships, and with the rounding up, we'll make it up to 3. So it's over to you now, the Stelios Scholars from the LSE, to contribute more so we can give even more scholarships to the London School of Economics. Next slide. So at this stage, I'd like to invite the president of the London School of Economics, Professor Larry Kramer, who's here with us in Monaco, but he's zooming in from an office to say a few words.
So there I am. Okay, thank you. So thank you, Stelios, for having me, but it's really a pleasure and an honor to be here and to have the chance to talk to all of you, and to have this opportunity with all of you here to thank Sir Stelios and the foundation for the tremendous and amazing support they've provided to you for the school and for so many years. 20 years is it's a wonderful anniversary to celebrate it. Let me just say a couple things. I'm pretty new to LSE, actually quite new, about 6 months that I've been in the job. I came here after a career as an academic in the US at a number of different universities, and then 10 years in philanthropy myself. And I missed being inside the university. So I came back precisely because I wanted to be in the kind of environment that you find uniquely at universities, which is, say, places filled with people who want to make the world a better place through the power of ideas and thinking and what we can do together. And to come to LSE, I don't know how many of you remember this. It's really such an exciting experience because there's no place like it anywhere in the world. I knew a fair amount about it. You know, I knew the history. I knew many of the amazing scholars who had either taught at or come out of LSE, you know, and so on, and how important it had been to all of the major issues across the 20th century. But to really come there and experience it firsthand, there's just no place like it. The global nature of the student body and of the faculty, the location in London, it all creates a really special context that has done magical things over the years. And for me to come in, my job is essentially to try and figure out how we keep doing that. How do we play the role in the 21st century that LSE played so incredibly well and importantly in the 20th century? And the first and most important thing to do that is to be able to bring in the kinds of students who will go out and make those changes. We can give an education, we can give this kind of gem of an education, but we need to be able to give it to the people who can then and will take it out and use it and do things with it and make the world a better place by virtue of that. And in order to do that, we need scholarship support, like what the Stelios Scholarship Fund does. It enables, as it did with you, so many of you to come and to be able to do that. And to be honest, we have many priorities to keep the school strong and to make sure that it is in the 21st century what it was. But the top priority is to continue to build this kind of scholarship support. And so not only am I incredibly grateful to Sir Stelios and the Foundation, but I hope you all take seriously, what he said to you about beginning to pay it forward yourself. I do that. I also was a scholarship student at the universities I went to, and I have continued to give as I could to them every single year since I graduated. And it's among the things I feel best about, because it is giving to the people who've come after me the same opportunities that I had, and I just think that's such an important thing to do. So let me stop there. I mean, I'm happy. I hope I'll get a chance to meet and talk to all of you at some point, and many of you hopefully today. But for now, this is really just a chance to say thank you. It is such a privilege to be part of this.
Thank you, Larry. And I think we should give a virtual round of applause. I know most of you are on Zoom, and therefore you cannot hear. You're on mute, and therefore you cannot hear it. But thank you, Larry, for being here, and thank you for your kind words. The next speaker is Manuel.
On mute. You're on mute, Manuel.
Unmuted now. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Sir Stelios. Thank you, Tracy, and also, of course, thank you, Larry, for the opening remarks. Really appreciate it. I'm very sorry I can't be here in person. This is UK half-term holidays, so kids' holidays are sacrosanct. So I'm dialing in from the beautiful Caribbean. I'll try to make this very quick, but hopefully entertaining and inspiring. I have basically three goals for today. The first one is briefly share my story. Second, express my gratitude. And thirdly, inspire my fellow scholars to give back themselves. Yeah, if you can go to the next slide, please. So I'll just very briefly about me. So I'm originally from Black Forest, Germany, grew up in a small village, pretty humble middle-class background. Dad was an engineer, mom was a psychologist. So there were academics, but had nothing to do with big business or global finance. And I am the middle of three brothers. So do with that information what you wish. But let's say I had to defend myself and was, had to fight for attention. And I was always very entrepreneurial and ambitious, I guess, and had two big goals in life from an early age. The first one was to change the world and make it a better place. The second was to make a lot of money. And I quickly realized both of these things are very hard individually, let alone together. So I needed a plan. The first part of the plan was to get some to swap the order around, actually. Making money first was a bit more realistic than changing the world first, probably the right call. And the second part of the plan was to get some inspiration by people who've actually done it and done both. And the good news was there are lists for this sort of stuff. And the further good news was that the top spot on both lists was effectively the same person who mentioned earlier, Bill Gates. So the good news was, I guess it wasn't mutually exclusive. The bad news was I couldn't invent anything useful, sadly. I wish I had other talents. And so I had to settle for second or third best and did come across Warren Buffett, another, I guess, creator of the Giving Pledge. And he's, of course, an investor. And I didn't know much about investing, but I understood one aspect of it, that if you can generate and sustain high returns on investment, and if you can do that for a long period of time, compounding, you actually don't need to start with very much. And it suited me well because I had no money, lots of time, and sort of made it a one-dimensional problem. And then basically I went down the value investing rabbit hole, and I got very lucky, I would say. And luck is also very important in that I got this wonderful scholarship. And, quite frankly, I wouldn't have been able to come to the LSE, wouldn't have ended up in London, would have done, I'm sure, something modestly successful in my home town or in Germany, but nowhere to the same extent. And so it has really been impactful for me to the extent that when I graduated and then joined Goldman Sachs, I was an entrepreneur. So I started my own business in my late 20s, and I was just turned 40. So I named it Kingsway, basically. It's, of course, named after the street where the LSE is on. It sounded better than Houghton Street. And I was one of the curious cases where the Greek was paying for the German. So I'm reminded myself and everyone that we've it's also our time to give back. And so basically, what I've been doing, apart from of course giving money to the Stelios Scholarship, which I'm going to do today again, I'll be in touch over email because I would like to maybe do a bit more than what the credit card allows. Is that I've created a scholarship program called Pass the Torch, and here the idea was basically that fully understand that, everyone has their own philanthropic ideas and journey, but I think it's very, very important to start early, even if you're starting very small. And so that's what Pass the Torch allows. So basically, scholarships have gotten a lot more expensive ever since I was at the LSE. And I'm sure that trend is only going to go one way. But you don't need to give a full scholarship, right? You can start with chuck in a few £1,000, and that's why I would highly encourage everyone, even if they're can only afford very little, to do just that and see how it feels, and keep going and just get started. Next slide, please. So yeah, what I said at the outset, I had basically 3 goals. Share my quick story. I can talk a bit about what I do professionally, but I'll keep that for 30 seconds. So I run an investment firm called Kingsway. We manage somewhere between $4 to $5 billion in assets, and we're specializing in what we call frontier emerging markets. And so that includes a lot of venture capital. And the business model is very simple. We charge a very, very small percentage of a very large number. And abracadabra, it still tends to be a large number. And I would really sincerely like to express my gratitude to Stelios and the whole team. I've been married now with 3 kids, and I met my wife in London. So there's a whole tale attached to, I think, the formative years of where you spend your time in university. And that's really also been I think something that really inspired me to do this myself as much as I could and as early as I could. And really would also inspire, I think, everyone to get into entrepreneurship. It's worked wonders for me. And what I love about Stelios, that he's so passionate about entrepreneurship. I had no idea there's more like than 100 easy brands now. That's super wonderful to see. And I really, of course, want to inspire to give back as well. And the one quote that really, I think, stuck with me at least was Steve Jobs, one of the most impactful entrepreneurs. I think all of us using his devices that he invented. And he basically gave the Stanford commencement address, which I think is worth watching in its entirety. But he basically said, the realization that we're all going to die at some point, basically means that, there's no reason not to follow your heart, whether that's going to entrepreneurship or whether that means giving back. And I'd like to finish with that wonderful quote. And yeah, thank you all for making the journey to Monaco, and thank you so much for inviting me to give my remarks. And there were some fun pictures. One of them was Dominic. He had a lot shorter hair back then.
Well done.
So I'm very excited to be followed by
everything, and virtual round of applause. So you can't hear it, it's there, and you can see it. Now, if you allow me, I'll ask you a question. It's always a dangerous question to ask online, especially on a session which is recorded. But you said you'd like to give back, but beyond the limit of your credit card, perhaps.
So my point, Stelios, also is like, if I do it on the credit.
Would you like to share with the audience what would be your contribution to the cause today?
I'm looking at my wife here. I mean, I would say I'd like to be the biggest check of all of them. I saw Dominic did 25, so it should be bigger than that. But the other point is, I can do it in a much more tax efficient way. And so I'd rather give twice as much as I can and give not half to the government, if that makes sense. So if that's
absolutely. Tax efficiency is important, but would you share that with us, or am I pushing my luck?
I mean, I'll do 50.
Well done. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Bravo. Bravo. Well done. Thank you, Manuel. All right. So the next speaker is Dominic. Let me spotlight him, and Tracy, you can start the screen sharing again.
Great. Thank you. And thanks very much for having me. Apologies for being only present virtually. Travels, including, as Manuel pointed out, family travels, make it quite complicated at the moment. Very briefly, I'm originally Polish. I came to the LSE in 2007, so I was a Stelios Scholar between 2007 and 2010, having studied econometrics at the LSE. Without the help of the Stelios Scholarship, I would not have been able to come to the LSE or study abroad. But the gratitude associated with all the different positive effects of the scholarship, I think, is kind of multi-dimensional, so to say, right? So I just wanted to share a little bit about these dimensions. I mean, first and foremost, my wife is a fellow Stelios Scholar, so without the scholarship, I would not have met her. We've been married for 10 years now with 3 kids, and that has clearly been the most important piece of the puzzle. The second very important piece of the Stelios Scholarship puzzle is all the different friendship bonds that have formed through the scholarship scheme, and Manuel has been a great friend and mentor over the years, and a lot of other friendships have also been formed throughout. So that's also something that has to be kept in mind. And last but not least, it's the professional impact. So the LSE back in the day, and I'm sure Professor Kramer has tightened the screws since, but back then it was possible to work throughout one's degree, and that's effectively what both Manuel and I did at the time, which I think helped us immensely later on. In the last 6 years, I've been co-running an investment management business called Fidera. We are roughly a $7 billion assets under management investment management business focused on distressed opportunities, primarily in Europe. So that's kind of 6 years of an entrepreneurial journey in the fund management industry. And before that, I worked in a number of different funds in London as well as in Singapore. I think from the point of view of the pledge, the idea initially was to contribute the 25,000 and to contribute it for the kind of the foreseeable future on an annual basis. I think Manuel has inspired me to match his 50, so I will also be in touch by email to arrange that, and again, happy to contribute that figure on a going forward basis for the next few years to support those who come after us. Thank you so much for your time.
Well done. Well done. Thank you. Very generous of you. Wonderful. So thanks a lot. I'm going to remove the spotlight and select the next speaker, who is Razvi.
Hi everyone, can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you, Razvi. I'm trying to find you so I can spotlight you, yeah.
Hi there everyone.
You're in the spotlight now, Razvi. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Stelios. I'm going to start by saying a huge thank you to you. I was in the first batch of your LSE Scholars along with Manuel, so that was 2005, 2008. I was raised in London. I was born in Bangladesh, raised in London for most of my life, but I was the first person in my family to go to university. And that would have been quite a tough journey without the help of your scholarship. So thank you very much. It meant that I didn't have to spend 20 hours a week doing a part-time job and trying to study. It meant I could actually focus on my studies. So it was really sort of life-changing for me. After my 3 years at LSE, I did what most people at LSE do, I think, is pursue a career in investment banking. It's been a rocky ride. There's been lots of ups and downs. There's been good years. There's been bad years. There's been sort of years when I've lost my job. But I think I wouldn't really change any of the journey I've had over the last 16 years. It's been every part of it helped me get to where I've got to today. So today I'm now a managing director at BNP Paribas in our mergers and acquisitions business, and I lead our M&A work for banks, insurers, and asset managers, predominantly in the UK, but I also cover the sectors globally as well. Keeps me very busy. It's very fun. I enjoy my job a lot. Where I kind of like to spend time with my wife and 2 children. So I'm also at half term this week, which is why being in Monaco in person was very tough. But I look forward to seeing you all very soon in person, either in London or on the next one of these events. But I hope you all have a fantastic time. because I'm not as successful as either of the two speakers before me. So I don't have the same numbers to give. But what I do in terms of trying to give back in the way that Stelios has opened doors for me is I work with a business called Rare Recruitment, which helps underprivileged children in high school sort of get into good universities through sort of coaching and training, and then help the same set of students get into jobs in the banking and legal world. So I do a lot of coaching on that front, which is very rewarding and a nice balance to working in the investment banking world for my day job. So, you've inspired me a lot, Stelios, and I've never taken enough time to say thank you. So here I am saying thank you very much for all the doors you've opened for me and for my family.
Thank you very much. Well done. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. So our next speaker is Leonard. Let's find him to spotlight him. So, Leonard, can you hear me?
Wonderfully, yes.
Yeah. I asked Leonard to speak because he has followed a bit of an unusual path. And I will compare him to Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and Mark Zuckerberg. So he basically did 2 years of the London School of Economics, and then he decided that life is too short to finish university, and there was a huge opportunity out there in business, and he left the university to pursue his business career, which is wonderful because it shows you that education is not the only way to succeed. And some of the most successful entrepreneurs actually did not finish university. So Leonard, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon all together in Monaco. Let me first, join the former speakers in saying thank you so much to you, Sir Stelios, and really your whole team for the support, as well as the organization of bringing us all together in this reunion event. I would love to be with you all, but I'm in Cape Town, South Africa, so joining you from here. When I was asked by Tracy Gorey to share today how I got on since LSE, I had to think a bit of the big contrasts that I've seen over the years, and I wanted to speak to you about today. If you can do the next slide. So this is an image of the area of the village where I grew up in southern Germany. Very similar actually in the type of village Manuel Stotz just spoke about, who I also want to thank him, first of all, with all of you here today, because it was actually Manuel who first told me about the Stelios Scholarship. So, in this type of village here, you have a lot of greenery, you have not a lot of people, but you have a lot of good German barbecues and football pitches. And I want to say, generally everything works and in a pretty organized way. Then, being in the big city, London, at university, at LSE, and meeting people from around the world, I became more and more reflective on the opportunities that I was privileged to have, including the Stelios Scholarship. And I got more and more convinced, while I come from a great place that I always like to visit, I wanted to go to places where I personally could have much more of an impact in unlocking opportunities for others similar to the ones that I had. So if we can show the next slide. Enter Lagos, Nigeria. Not such a quaint place like the villages in southern Germany I was speaking about, but projected to be the single largest city in the world within this century, with up to 80 million inhabitants in just the single city of Lagos alone, which is a place of, hardworking people, very smart people wanting to make it, but also a pretty disorganized system, often lacking opportunities and funding. So with this passion for and conviction that opportunities can be created, and with a specific idea that technology could unlock a lot of potential, I went to Lagos after LSE in 2011 and started building. If we can go to the next slide. So in 2012, with the learning that e-commerce specifically could leapfrog the development of other organized physical retail, a group of great people and myself launched Jumia, which then became the leading e-commerce company on the African continent, with now presence in many countries on the continent. Then, given that insight, how the internet can reach people with services they did not have before, in 2013, I started a company called Pulse, which is now the leading digital media company on the continent, informing and engaging people on a daily basis with platforms in Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Uganda, Senegal, and Cote d'Ivoire. And then finally, with the experience and network from building companies myself, I saw many great entrepreneurs coming up, both on the African side as well as in the European ecosystems. And I was lucky to get involved in investing in those entrepreneurs early on, from payments companies such as Paystack, which later sold to Stripe, to companies like Scalable Capital in Europe, which some of you may know, which is now one of the leading digital brokers globally. For me, important is that many of these companies nowadays employ thousands of people, and many of these people have started companies themselves, creating opportunities for so many more. If we can go to the next slide. So today I fully focus with my work on two things, which I want to close with. The first thing is on this slide. So I enjoy working with entrepreneurs that are building impactful businesses globally, often using technology as an enabler. From companies here on the right, like Bamba, that is providing credit to small businesses in Africa to grow their operations, to ones like Faro, which is working with global fashion brands to not throw away their overstock and returns, but refurbish them and provide them to emerging market consumers looking for quality fashion, but at affordable prices. If you can go to my final slide. And the second thing I do is, and I like to do, is building initiatives to enable more investment, both on the African continent as well as emerging markets in general. On the one side with Africa Collective, which is an initiative we are doing at the World Economic Forum, where we're bringing together global investors with an interest to invest on the continent with African decision makers to just make this more approachable. And on the other side with our counter conference, bringing investors together here in Cape Town to engage on opportunities that are available in emerging markets. If these topics are relevant to any of you, I'd love to have you here and love to invite you all. So thank you once again to Sir Stelios and his team and all of you, and do be in touch if I can be of help with anything on your side.
Thank you, well done. Leo, before I let you go, you didn't tell us much about your decision to leave the LSE. So, if you don't mind, give us a couple of minutes on it.
So I will definitely not advocate for leaving university early. I think it's a fantastic education, obviously, at LSE. I think for me, it came out of this conviction. I'd spent time in Africa before, and I was eager and I was impatient to do something. And I think that impatience grew so much while being at LSE that I said, I want to start right now. And I think that decision and that kind of like that instinct I followed. And I think for me, and I think for some of the things that I've done, it has worked out. But as we can see from the former speakers, I think there's so many ways to success and to impact. That I think it's very much a personal decision.
Thanks for sharing. Those from zooming in from outside Monaco, thank you very much for being here. I'm sorry you won't join us for the dinner at the yacht club. We'll raise a glass to your health, and hopefully next time you're going to join us in person. May I ask the people in the conference hall downstairs to join us at the terrace for the family photo? Thank you very much. Bye-bye.